Thank you, Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, we started this trial a couple weeks ago on Monday with an opening statement, and one of the first lines that came out of my mouth was that you were going to hear evidence of a heroic act. Of a heroic act by Justin Winebrenner, by David Ivery, because they were faced with a deadly situation. And now you've heard the evidence. You've heard the testimony, and you've had an opportunity to see the video, and you'll have an opportunity to see it again. And I strongly stand by that position, that act by Justin Winebrenner and David Ivery to be confronted with a man who is angry and with a gun. Now that situation, you can do one of two things. You can head for the hills. A lot of people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you see a man with a gun and you're faced with this danger. Or you can try to do something about it. You can try to save yourself. You can try to save others. And Justin Winebrenner, being a police officer, would have violated everything he stood for if he would have just headed for the hills at that point. This was an act of heroism, and there was self-defense. When you look at those elements of self-defense, when you put together all the evidence and the testimony in that video, you will conclude there's self-defense. But you know who was acting in self-defense that night? Justin Winebrenner and David Ivery. Because it's the defendant who created the situation. It's the defendant who presented the situation in which death or serious bodily harm was being presented to them. And here sometimes fight or flight. Now, according to the defense version at that point, somebody shows themselves in a gun, and that they have a gun and they're in a bar and they grab it. Well, you're not allowed to grab them. You got to take whatever they're giving out at that point. Because you know what, if you grab them and try to get them out of the bar and try to get that gun from them, and they shoot you, according to the defense, that's self-defense. That's justified. An unwelcome guest comes into the bar, show him his gun in a matter of seconds. And the defense would have you, these individuals, I hope nothing happens. That's not reasonable, that's not logical, that's not self-defense. Through your common sense and your life's experiences and real events, we're aware of dangerous people all the time. And we praise people who do something about those dangerous people. That they don't just sit to the side or they don't run away. Those people are heroes who do something about it. It doesn't change the game because all of a sudden there's people willing to fight back. That doesn't all of a sudden make it okay to kill those people. Because that's what they're suggesting for right here. That when Justin Winebrenner, after this individual pulls his gun and tries to stop him, and Dave Isley pulls him and pushes him against the table, well, that's self-defense. When he came to that bar and he's showing that gun 3 times, and they decide to do something about it, they shouldn't have. That's what they're telling me. That's not how the law works, that's not how common sense works, and that's not how this case works. Some of the things I heard in the defense argument is beyond reason. It's beyond common sense. That when Kenan Ivery came in there, he tried to calm things down by showing that gun. He tried to calm the situation down by showing it not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that he didn't act purposely. Well, let's look at the video as to what he's doing when he fires that gun. When he fires that gun, it hurts. Let's go back to when he fired the gun. There. Okay, gunfire's there. I understand. Maybe he's not trying to kill Justin Winebrenner, not trying to shoot anybody. He's up against the table and the gun's here. But that's not when he pulls the trigger, ladies and gentlemen. And he's ready himself, and he's got that gun pointed exactly at those targets, the same people he was arguing with, not just seconds ago, but minutes ago before he was about. That's when he fires the gun. When he has them directly in front of him. Let's look at the other camera, camera 3. Facing these individuals, he's got a gun in his right hand, and he fires. And only by the grace of God does Dave Eisel not get hit and ends up on the ground there. But the defendant is out the door now. Does he just run and head for the hills? Does he run and get out of there? He fires 3 more times. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the killing of Justin Winebrenner. Defendant, glasses on, facing him, fires 3 times directly at that person. That's not purposely? If that's not purposely, let's just get rid of the word. Self-defense is claiming that the killing was legally justified. That Justin Winebrenner's death was justified. That the shooting of 4 times, Dave O'Cady, Jennifer Inhofe, all getting bullets in them, no consequences. This was justified. And the facts don't tell you that. The evidence don't confirm. This is not a home invasion where someone's life is in danger and they're shooting the burglar. This is not even someone in space with a gun or a knife. When you look at these pictures, there's only one person armed with a deadly weapon. One person, and that's Kenan Ivery. None of these individuals had deadly weapons. None of them had knives or guns. None of them threw a punch at this individual. They just want to go, well, Dave O'Cady's a big guy. Yeah, he's a big guy who was in that bar for a good hour before he left, and you'll see it. He's standing right by it. Dave O'Cady wasn't a threat just because he's a big guy. And he says one line, if you touch or talk to her, then I'll do this. Well, guess what? Then get out of the bar, don't talk to him. He didn't, Dave O'Cady never touches it. But to say because Dave O'Cady said this one line, well, this justified me pulling out my gun. That's ridiculous. And they want to talk about him being so drunk and slurred. Well, you know what? The defendant's blood alcohol level was almost the same as Dave O'Cady's. Dave O'Cady was at 0.13 and the defendant was at 0.103. So to say that Dave O'Cady's this drunken, dangerous guy, look at the video as well. You don't see Dave O'Cady making steps towards him. You don't even see anyone get in this defendant's way when he gets involved. He's going towards chicken wings. He's going towards the people that he's been arguing with, that he's pissed at, and that he wants to engage in a confrontation with. That's the direction he goes. You tell me one time where he's looking over at chicken wings. You tell me one time after he's showing his gun that he really thought in his mind, I'm still going to get those chicken wings. You know, pictures of that bar. You can see what's on that bar stool from once you walked in the door. But that's not why he was there. The defense is determined in the defendant to show you 3 things. He wasn't angry. He put a phone into his pocket. And he was there for chicken wings. Because really there's 2 options. He's either there to confront and kill, or he's there for the chicken wings. And it's beyond absurd to say that he's not angry, that he's not mad. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, the only person that tells you 90% of the version that Mr. O'Brien gave you is the defendant. The defendant testified, and when you judge his credibility, you know what you can take into account? He's been convicted of 4 felonies by his own word of mouth. When he was on that witness stand, he pretty much was committing felonies and gun offenses every day. that he was drunk driving, that he'd been smoking marijuana. And when I was asking him on the witness stand several times about, well, when you're patting your gun and you're patting it 7 times, did you really think you were going to get your chicken wings? You wouldn't answer the question. Because the whole idea is so absurd. You know, it's sad that I'm sitting here arguing about chicken wings when a father has been lost, a husband has been lost, a son has been lost. And when this defendant testified, it was almost like a robot saying, I love my chicken wings with honey mustard and a side of Arizona ranch. So they again and again and again, because they know they have to say those things to get away from prior calculation and design. Now, you need him to come in there, guns a-blazing. Am I supposed to say that at this point Kenan Ivery should have acted logically? Everything he did? Nothing he did made sense that night. I told you at the beginning, we're going to show you some reason why he was mad, but we're not going to present any evidence to justify why he would be so mad as to bring a gun. That's in his level, why he got himself so worked up. But it's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense why he came back with a gun, why he shot these individuals. So all of a sudden we're supposed to look at logic as to how he parks and everything. There's nothing sensible. It's all senseless. His actions are completely senseless. Now he's motivated by anger. He's motivated by what happened in that bar before. He's certainly not thinking, boy, how am I going to get out of here after I shoot them all up? He wants to go get them. He wants to confront them. There's no doubt about that. Whether he thinks of every single escape plan is a totally different question. But we certainly don't need smart criminals to convict them. If you see a criminal makes dumb decisions in committing their crimes, that doesn't all of a sudden say they're not guilty. He relied almost completely on Kenan Ivery's statement, but when it came to the state's witnesses, oh, they're biased. They may be exaggerating things. They may be even lying to you. Really, you got to see these witnesses. You will have the job to decide the credibility of each and every witness, including the defendant. Jeffrey Bates, he come off as a witness that was just go lie, say anything he wanted up on that witness stand. You can hear him on that 911 tape. Or when you look at the defendant and you see his head motions when he's by Justin Winebrenner, is it consistent with him saying, I'll slap the bitch? Or is it consistent with one question? Hey, did you hear me? Actually, call me. Did you hear me call her a bitch? Because as I tried to point out in cross-examination, Kenan Ivery had already been at that south end of the bar arguing with Tiffany when Justin came over. So if he wanted some kind of help that Justin was going to be able to have his back and say he didn't call someone a bitch, that would have been the time to ask. When you look at Kenan Ivery giving an earful to Justin Winebrenner, and when you see Jeffrey Bates looking over there with concern, you know he's giving him an earful. You know he's angry. But once again, the defense has to get rid of those 3 things. That he was angry, that he put a gun in his pocket, and that he was there for chicken wings. Because the phone he has a flip phone, ladies and gentlemen. And he can try all he wants by saying, oh, when I grabbed it, the phone was flipped over. You'll see the picture. It's not a flipped open phone, it's not a closed phone, it's a deadly weapon. It's a .40 caliber handgun. And the question I asked him again and again when he was on the witness stand, and a question that you can use as well as to what's his purpose, what's his prior calculation design, whether he's scared, is why didn't he leave? Why doesn't he leave? Because he has that door behind him with nobody blocking it. He chose to stay. He chose to stay there when he passed the gun the first time, the second time, and the third time. He can head for that door anytime he wants. Nobody wants him in the bar. He's the only person who wants to be there, and he wants to be there for a purpose. And it's not to get those chicken wings when he gets close. The defense wants to start this case practically when they're on that table by that Brown's design. But that's not where it starts. Again, I heard nothing in the defense argument which suggested that Kenan Ivery didn't initiate this whole thing, that he wasn't the cause for the whole situation that led to that shooting, led to the shooting. There's only one reason why Dave Ivery went over there. You can see it in the video. He will step back and he will look and he will see that gun in his side there. And that's why he went over. Justin Winebrenner, sitting at the bar, would never have come over there if not told that he had a gun. Who has created that situation? And then when he pulls that gun out, it's up. And the fact that he didn't pull it out earlier, once again, I can't make sense out of any of this. I can't make sense as to why Justin Winebrenner's dead. Nothing in my folders, nothing in my papers is ever going to say, oh, that's why this man, this police officer ended up dead. I understand that. I don't understand any of the actions of the defendant that night, but I can tell you what he did. And if you need for him to sit there and say, I'm going to gun down Justin Winebrenner, so the defense suggested, you never heard him say, I'm going to gun down Justin Winebrenner. You don't see him throwing things around the bar. But ladies and gentlemen, do you really need him to say, I'm going to gun down Justin Winebrenner for you to know that he purposely shot those people? Do you really need that word? Because, ladies and gentlemen, we can't cut open his head and tell you exactly what was in his mind. Actions speak louder than words. And you know what his actions were. We know what his actions are from the time he pulls into that parking lot. And how quickly he goes to that gun. We don't have to rely on the defendant's testimony for that. We don't have to rely on anything for that except to see on the video how quickly he goes to that gun. In a bar that he spent all this time with the wife, because Big David Katie's there, he can leave. He goes to that gun because that's his purpose that night. Justin Winebrenner, he's there for that argument. He's there for getting an airflow. And what does he do for the next 10 minutes before the defendant? He does nothing. He sits there at that bar until called upon. And yet it was after getting that airflow, this is there's a lot of coincidences here if you took the defendant's version. But he's just being nice and friendly to Justin Winebrenner, yet it's 10 minutes later that he kills Justin Winebrenner. That he brings up a 40, and then less than 30 minutes later, he comes in the bar walking towards her with a 40. It's about the chicken wings. Four bullets. What happened in the jury room? But these don't have to be the 4 bullets you're thinking. Because in this left hand, 2 live bullets, never fired. This bullet was found on the parking lot floor, on the ground in the parking lot. This live bullet was found in the chamber of that gun. These 2 bullets went through the body of Justin Winebrenner. Justin Winebrenner took these 2 bullets so that these 2 would never be fired. He took these 2 bullets so that these 2 would never be fired. And that he was successful. And it is the defendant, Kenan Ivery, that fired these 2 bullets through his body. Justin Winebrenner deserves justice. Justin Winebrenner demands justice for his death. And I ask you with full respect to hold the person responsible and to find the defendant guilty for the death of Justin Winebrenner and for the injuries he caused on those individuals that night because it was senseless. Don't go back there and try to logically think of what Kenan Ivery was doing that night. He took Justin Winebrenner away.